What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. All right, let's move on to our mailbag. We have 7 or 8 questions today. First question. My friend and I got in a debate yesterday. He said he would trade a few of the starting 5 for the Nuggets to get Luka on the team, if hypothetically this was possible. And he said he would fill the holes, or at least Murray and Porter. I disagreed and said you could do a 1-for-1, but it would be completely the wrong move. Just wanted your thoughts on it. I know Luka and Nikola Jokic want to be on the same team one day, but neither of us have the illusion this is remotely possible in the near future. When I heard you talking about hypothetical LeBron trades, I figured you would weigh in on this as well. Thanks and love your content. You're right. I love a good hypothetical. And yes, no, there's no chance in hell that Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic are going to play together. Here's the thing. I am a big believer in diminishing returns when it comes to star power. Like, in my opinion, if you have 2 legitimate shot creators, then it's more important for you to have quality role players around them than to bring in a third legitimate shot creator. And there's something to be said about the beauty of a 5-man basketball lineup. Like, regardless of the fact that there's no like true superstar next to Nikola Jokic, every single one of those players, whether it's Jamal Murray or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, they're all stars in their roles. Jamal Murray is just a star shot maker. And so therefore, he is a perfect fit with Nikola Jokic in the 2-man game, because if you cover it, you have to concede something, and most teams will concede Jamal Murray ISOs. And his ability to convert those, especially against teams that switch that action, goes a long way, or that chase over the top and stay home on the roll man where he has opportunity to get separation from the screen. That's what teams are willing to concede, and he continues to make those shots. KCP, just attacking off of dribble handoffs, attacking out of spot-up situations, and defending the other team's best perimeter defender or perimeter offensive weapon. He's awesome at that. He's a star in that role. Michael Porter Jr., weak side shooting, help side defense, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding when he's being ignored. He's a star at that. He's one of the best spot-up players in the league, right? Aaron Gordon, just the perfect shoe-in forward to put next to Nikola Jokic because he brings the athleticism and defensive versatility that Nikola Jokic does not bring to the position. He's an excellent wing defender while also being an excellent help defender, while also being an excellent defensive rebounder, and the perfect guy to run along the baseline for their offense when Nikola Jokic is operating around the elbow. And so, again, like it to me, that is a concoction I would never mess with until one of those 4 guys, like, and like if KCP in 2 years starts to show some kind of decline, then sure, you can look to make some sort of change. But as long as those 4, that 5-man grouping is all operating at this level, you got to do whatever you can to keep them together, because it's very rare when you can capture real magic in a 5-man basketball lineup, and that Denver group has captured that magic. And I would try to maintain that as long as possible. Next question. Hey, Jason, knowing you read a lot of the comments, I want to point something out. In 2022, you praised Jason Tatum for his commitment on the defensive end. And I think based solely on eye test, Jaylen Brown has made a similar commitment this year. He takes on the best matchups every night now. And I'd like to know what you think if you take a closer look and rewatch some of the games. I hear people questioning who is the second best player, and that is insane to me. With Jaylen's offensive production combined with the defense this year, it's not close. Thanks. So I agree in the sense that Jaylen Brown is, in a vacuum, the second best player on the team, especially when you look at talent. And I agree, his ability to impact the game defensively while providing scoring production is legitimate. The reason why it gets a little complicated is, like, sometimes there's a difference between like talent and value. And so, for instance, let's look at Derek White. This is a team that struggles with offensive decision making and half court, like real slow down shot creation from time to time as it pertains to decision making. So Derek White becomes immensely valuable for them as one of the guys that they can use to kind of dissect half court defense. And so that is why one of their go-to actions at the end of games is Derek White, Jason Tatum 2-man game. They do that because they trust Derek White to have the basketball in his hands in those big moments. So there's something to be said about the value of a Derek White. Kristaps Porzingis, the same thing, between pick and pop being the most difficult action in the league to guard, and specifically the value of a real rim protector alongside all their perimeter defenders. There's something to be said about Porzingis's value. And by the way, when you look at the on-off numbers for the Celtics, According to Cleaning the Glass, the three best on-off guys on the team are Derek White, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis. And so again, I agree with you. It's not a question of talent. Like Jaylen Brown's a better basketball player than Derek White. He's a better basketball player than Kristaps Porzingis. But when you look at this specific team and roster needs, Jaylen Brown's a little bit of a redundancy next to Jason Tatum, whereas Derek White and Kristaps Porzingis fulfill absolutely vital roles for that group. To put it differently, like, obviously, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but if Derek White got hurt, I think it would hurt the Celtics more than Jaylen Brown getting hurt, or vice versa with Kristaps Porzingis. And I think, again, that's not a shot at Jaylen Brown. It just is a product of the roster construction. Next question. Hey, Jason, big fan of the show. It's a great place to expand my knowledge as someone with no background in the game. 2 Warriors questions for you. We'll go one at a time. What I understood from the evolution of your opinion regarding the Warriors what the Warriors front office should do is that they should go all in on winning with Steph. In addition, they shouldn't trade JK, who will probably take a few years to develop into a good enough number 2. I don't understand how those two goals go together, considering all the personnel problems the Warriors have, and Steph turning 36 soon. Him being this good still is already an anomaly. It would be great if he was still good in a couple of years to play with a developed JK, but I don't think it's smart to just expect that. For the record, those were 2 separate opinions that I had. So, like, I thought the Warriors should go all in on Steph, and then JK had this 10-game stretch where he averaged 25 points a game on 61% shooting, and it's like, oh shit, you got yourself a star here. So now, like, you're trading away a future star, to try to get back, I don't know, high-quality role players, right? And so that's where it gets super convoluted. Like, to me, I agree. Those two concepts are kind of opposed to each other, right? Like it's just not possible to go all in on Steph without trading Jonathan Kuminga, because Jonathan Kuminga is your best opportunity to bring back quality players. And so the reality is, like, the decision got made for you by Jonathan Kuminga's rise. And so now it actually makes more sense to do smaller moves on the margins and hope for your biggest influx of talent to be Jonathan Kuminga's development over the course of the next couple of years. Next question. You've spoken a lot about the Warriors' woes this season, but one thing you didn't mention is that Steph has a negative net rating, which hasn't happened since his rookie season when the entire team was pretty bad. What do you think is different this season that's causing this, and how can they fix it? I know them doing anything of significance this year is already a long shot, but I'm pretty sure they won't do anything if they're already losing when their best player's on the floor. So the reasons are pretty simple. Draymond Green is the second best player on the Warriors this season in terms of like two-way impact. He always just pairs so well with Steph on both ends of the floor, with helping Steph generate quality looks while also anchoring their defense. And I think he's only played 21, 22 games this year. So he's been gone for most of it. So that's a huge part of it. Klay Thompson has experienced his first substantial decline as a veteran. And then Andrew Wiggins just has not been the same player that he was in 2022. To put it simply, that's a massive pullback of talent. The players that you've been supplementing that with are young players. Young players bring inconsistency, right? So that to me is the reasoning behind the low net rating. The reason why I don't think that should play a role in their decision-making is, to put it simply, Steph is still one of those guys, one of the special talents in the league. And so, the dude just dropped 60 the other night. So the way I look at it, Basketball has we talked earlier about the Nuggets lineup and the way that it kind of has a magic quality to it. In my opinion, basketball is not as simple as the sum of the parts. So if you take away 20% of your talent, that doesn't necessarily amount to a 20% decrease in production. If the 20% of talent that gets pulled out of the equation is in vital areas of that lineup's ability to be coherent, then you could experience a 60% reduction in the lineup's capability of contending in a basketball game, right? Because you take Draymond Green out of the equation, they had a stretch there where they were the worst defense in the league for an extended stretch. The bottom falls out in a lot of these specific situations, and so the same thing goes in reverse. I talk about this with all these teams. It's the Lakers last year. It's they don't have any forwards. Okay, you bring in Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt, two cast-off forwards that other teams didn't watch, and then all of a sudden they look like a way better basketball team because they have a position group that they did not have on the roster all of a sudden filled. That's kind of the idea behind it, is the idea is you get Draymond back, Jonathan Kuminga plays a lot better, you make one smart move for a veteran forward, and all of a sudden everything starts to make sense again and things can work. So don't underestimate, or don't overreact, I should say, to that kind of statistical production involving a star. Like the Lakers this year have not been particularly good with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the floor, but LeBron James and Anthony Davis are actually having a better season than last year. It comes down to the struggles of the skill guards. Darvin Ham and the way he's constructed the rotations, the heavy leaning on Taurean Prince. So you have a lack of perimeter athleticism, right? Like the specific personnel weakness and not having a top tier athlete at the guard position. Like all of those things, it's not like LeBron and AD are negative players. It's not like Steph Curry is a negative player. It's just the basketball lineup is dipped below that certain mandatory amount of fulfilling of responsibilities to be able to compete. And so once you get down below that line, it becomes a little bit dangerous. And so again, I don't think it's over for the Warriors. I'm a big believer. You get Chris Paul back, you get Gary Payton back, you get the rise of Jonathan Kuminga. Andrew Wiggins starts to play a little bit more like he did in 2022. It could pretty quickly rise back to being a competent basketball team. Next question. I have 3 left. What do you think of if the Warriors tried to trade for Jonathan Isaac or possibly trade Wiggins plus others, picks or CP3 to the Pacers for maybe Miles Turner or Buddy Hield? Couple things. Miles Turner is not going anywhere, I don't think. He's kind of a little bit of a foundational piece there in Indy, and specifically as a stretch big, he's very valuable next to Tyrese Halliburton. It's one of their pet actions. And then also next to Pascal Siakam, who can be somewhat streaky as a 4-man, having a shooting 5 is somewhat important for them. There's also a problem with trading Andrew Wiggins in the sense that, like, how much, like, what has a better chance of your team getting better? Flipping Wiggins for a different player or Wiggins just plays better? Like, in my opinion, you get through the deadline, it becomes clear that Andrew Wiggins is not getting traded. Give him a really clear spot in the rotation where his minutes are consistent, you might get more consistent production. And I personally think that he belongs in the starting lineup next to Jonathan Kuminga, and I give him consistency there and let Andrew Wiggins just kind of refine his confidence. And I've seen a lot of encouraging stuff out of him in the last couple of weeks too. But I do think at a bare minimum, they should be targeting some form of playoff playable forward at the deadline. That could be a different type of contract swap, whether that's like, Moses Moody and another one of their minimums, or who knows how they would kind of construct that sort of thing. But I don't care whether it's a Dorian Finney-Smith or a Kenrich Williams or a PJ Washington. I mean, Jonathan Isaac would be amazing, but he's flashed some insane high-level defense again this year, so I don't know if Orlando would be willing to get rid of him, but maybe they would. Maybe with his injury history, they'd want to sell high on him, and maybe you can jump on a guy like that, but then you're taking on the risk of his injury history, right? So that gets a little tricky. But regardless of what kind of guy it is, just bringing in another veteran playable forward, simplifying, Steve Kerr's rotation decisions, that could go a long way towards getting them back on track as well. 2 more. You say Tatum is going to figure it out, and most players do around 26, 27 years old. But most good players get drafted to bad teams, and it takes a while for them to go on deep playoff runs. He's been to multiple conference finals and won finals already. Shouldn't he have figured it out yet? The jumper he shot on KCP to finish the Denver game killed me. He had plenty of time to drive it, in my opinion, kind of like LeBron on Paul George in 2013. It's actually kind of an interesting idea because on that Paul George play, LeBron caught and then quickly pivoted over his right shoulder and went right to the rim. And Tatum kind of did the same thing, but right when he pivoted, he went right back into that one-leg fadeaway. And so he didn't even really try to be more physically aggressive on the play. And you're right, he did have some more time. Here's the thing. I agree with you that his timeline should be accelerated. Like 26 years old, it's time to start figuring it out. That I agree. That said, I still think it's way too soon to just say he'll never get there because he is making strides and there have been encouraging moments. And again, like there just aren't that many guys in the league that are as talented as Jason Tatum. He's got one of the most gifted physical profiles of a forward that we have in the league, can really shoot the basketball. The handle's improving year by year. I do think that ceiling is still there, but I guess I agree with you in the sense that it is discouraging that it's taken as long as it has taken, especially considering how much experience he has. Last question. Are you coming to Indy for All-Star Weekend, and have you ever considered a meet and greet? So I'm not going to Indy for All-Star Weekend, but I typically every year get out to Summer League, and that's the best opportunity in Vegas for you guys to come out and hang out. We can meet in person and chat about the game a little bit. I will be on Twitter letting you guys know exactly what dates I'm out there, but I'm usually just in the gym. I usually, just go up there and whatever the first game is, and I just hang out in the arena until they're done. So you can always find me in the arena at Summer League. And if at some point in the future I end up traveling to more NBA events, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, I'm pretty much just a cover the game from home kind of guy. So we'll see how it changes in the long run, but hopefully I can see some of you guys in Vegas in July. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. As always, I sincerely appreciate your support. Barring a star trade this evening, we won't have anything tonight, but we will have a live show right after the trade deadline tomorrow, and then again live after Lakers Nuggets. I will see you guys then.